Welcome back, and I was making another video just now, actually two of them, but I think that the roadmap here takes a little bit of priority. There are some absolutely fantastic changes for ground as well as for air, which I want to look at mainly, but I am going to look at everything today because everything here looks to be pretty good. Now, whether they implement it properly, well, only time will tell, but I want to very quickly start off by looking at the roadmap and then just kind of give you my thoughts on suggestions and some things that I hope to see. So let's take a look at the actual list first. We have the first one here, which I used to be completely against. Aircraft fuel sliders. I used to be against this because, well, it kind of messes with the balance of the game, where you can't really read how much fuel someone is running, and then you can't actually plan accordingly. However, with today's matchmaker, balance, and everything that has changed since my Boomerang started playing in 2016, I think it's fair nowadays, but I do think that with the existing parameters means that you still cannot take less than the already existing min fuel. So you are not gonna get a 20-minute Mosquito, like a 15-minute Bomber and stuff like that. So we are not gonna see a 3 to 4 minute min fuel meta where people try to get one kill as quickly as they can. Now that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think that the min fuel for some planes can definitely come down a little bit, but at least it helps with planes that have obscene loadouts, like something like the F111 Aardvark, which goes from like 20 to 30 to 45 minutes to an hour, and then if you want to take more than an hour, you need to take like 2.5, which is absolutely ridiculous. The second one here is something that's a massive pet peeve of mine, where the duplication of missile happens. If you fly the Su-27 or the J-11, for example, or God forbid even the Mirage 4000, a lot of planes have this issue right now, where you have two sets of the same missile. If you fly the Su-27, you have a set of two R-73s, a set of two R-73s, and then if you run the ETs and inner pylons, you are going to get another set of two missiles, and then every set of pylons is going to be another set of missiles, which is extremely annoying to cycle through, and grouping everything together is an absolute massive quality of life change, which I have been looking forward to. Then we have the synchronization of objects on the destruction on maps, and you have to think about bushes, lampposts, fences and stuff like that. So now what the actual game is gonna do, if you destroy something, it will be destroyed on your screen first, and then it will update to the server, and the server will then also level the thing that you just leveled. So you're not gonna be sitting behind a bush on your screen that ends up being actually gone on the other screen, and he just sees you and he shoots you across the map. Absolutely annoying. Glad to see that that has finally changed. Then we have the aircraft detection zones near air spawn points in ground realistic, which is great because this kind of alleviates the issue with being air camped or like spawn camped, where you spawn in and there's instantly just it doesn't matter what it is, there's just instantly something on you, and before you can even react, before you even hear that he is behind you, he's already shooting at you. Absolutely annoying. So I'm glad to see that they do this. I think this is a much better idea than putting like airfield AA everywhere, because that messes with the gameplay a little bit too much to my liking. We get new tutorials, I mean, kind of speaks for itself. And then we have improving of the replenishment mechanics. And there are a few things to it. The first one, which I think is the most important one, if you have a clip or if you have like a set of missiles, say on the Bradley, it reloads 2 at a time. If you shoot once, you are not able to reload. So with this, you are able to only reload 1 in the rack. I'm not sure if it's going to go straight into the tube or if it's going into the back and you still have to manually reload it after you fire the other missile. They're not really clear on that, but it will be able to replenish half a magazine, for example, which is always great. And they're also going to change the times of all the replenishment, whether it's going to be faster or slower. We are not completely sure yet. I think it's going to be faster because they are talking about improving the dynamics of battle. So I do think that they are going to increase or decrease the time, I should say, to make it a little bit faster and less tedious. And a massive one, it will not reset if you touch like a singular key on your keyboard. If you move at all, normally the circle resets and you have to start all the way over. And I think all in all, this is great quality of life change. And then we have the interface, and the interface is going to change in 2 ways. They are talking about kill cams and shit, where you can actually put like cool emblems on it and stuff like that. Kind of think about it like the Battlefield 4 kill cam, or at least that's how I interpret it when I read it. Not sure how much of a difference this makes. I mean, I think it makes more of a community, but I think you're going to see some absolutely obscene decals like massive dicks and dildos and all that kind of stuff. Yes, that's the first thing I think of. If you are familiar with my channel, I'm surprised that you are even surprised by now. Then we have some social features. I mean, they are going to integrate the Steam friend list. Can't really hurt. And then you have a wishlist functionality in-game. I mean, really, I kind of indifferent about it. Being able to gift stuff is neat, I guess, if you really want to buy something. But I mean, this is really not that important. And then I want to take a look at the second major update of 2024. The first one here is absolutely massive and one that I've been requesting for the last 2 years. Possibility of using flares and chaff separately. Right now, if you are running chaff or mixed, you have to chaff IR missiles and you also have to flare radar missiles. Now I do hope that you can also allocate the actual countermeasures itself. So you can say like I want 80% flares and 20% chaff, because flares overall are just much more important in the grand scheme of things. But even if not, being able to use them separately is very much welcome and very much way too late, but rather late than never. And then we have another great one, separate battle ratings for different modes. And what that means, I think, is that your ground pounders are going to have a lower BR in Air RB, and probably your fighters are going to have a slightly lower BR in ground RB. So we might get some planes that are insanely strong for air-to-air, but they don't really have any ground presence. Something like the Yak-3U comes to mind. It might be a low BR in ground RB. We'll have to see how they implement it. I do think it's important that they actually make these things accurate, because I'm not sure if they have data for air and ground matches in that kind of sense. They probably can do it, but I do think that it's important that they don't mess up the statistics. We know that the, well, balance changes, as we can call them that, by Gaijin are a little bit questionable sometimes. So I'm kind of excited about the thought of it, but I'm kind of wary about how they will implement it. Then we have new Air Arcade game modes. We'll have to see how that pans out. I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not really going to talk too much about arcade. I mainly want to take a look at Air RB and ground RB right now. And then we have additional effects. Now, I'm kind of worried how they are going to implement it. It might be extremely annoying. They are talking about shell shock. They are talking about like being phased and like basically being knocked out by hard sounds. Might be very annoying, like if you get peppered by a fully automatic HE gun, for example, where the entire crew just kind of, without being able to pen, your crew still goes unconscious. I wonder how they are going to do it. They need to be careful with these new additions. It's the same thing with volumetric. It's the same thing with, what was it? I can't think about it on the top of my head, where they implement a new mechanic and it completely breaks the game for like half a year. With like overpressure, that's the one. So depends on how they add it, and I do think it probably will need some fine tuning, but it's always great to see. And here they are talking about the healing of the wounded crew. I think I mentioned it here, but you are going to be able to heal some things, and I do think that is great. I hope that you can also like kind of swap the crew around for yourself, because sometimes like the guy that is dead is not the one you want in the gunner seat, or the other way around. So I rather replace the gunner, for example, opposed to the loader, whereas if I have an outer loader, I rather just have the loader guy be like a stand-in, for example. Depends on the situation, of course, as it always does, but I do hope that it is going to be a little bit more dynamic than simply just healing. But, you know, great step in the right direction, because having 4 red crew members is almost, or like a red gunner is worse than having a dead one, because then at least he's replaced by a healthy person. Then we have new crew models, not really too fussed about it. I mean, it looks nice, I guess, to have like up-to-date models. It's always a good thing to have updates, things that look better. It's always great, but I'm not really too excited about that one, as you basically never really see them. Resource bonuses for new nations. It's from the previous roadmap. They are like saying sorry that it took a little bit too long. I'm not sure what it entails. I haven't really been up to date with the previous roadmaps, but I'm 100% certain that someone in the comments will definitely be able to tell you. And now here we have some nice quality of life things, being ability to place vehicles into a crew slot from the research tree by dragging and dropping it with the mouse, and the ability to order they changed the order of the crew slots. And don't really need to explain anything here. It's just drag and drop instead of like clicking it and then clicking on the bottom. It just takes a lot of clicks. It's very much outdated. I think they've used this system since like 2014. I wasn't even playing back then, but I'm pretty sure that being able to drag and drop and as well as change the order of the crew slots is very much welcome. Right now, especially for my ground crews, like I put the AA in the first slot, the tank destroyer in the second, the plane in the third, or whatever you do. But from my arcade days, all the crews are like messed up and my OCD doesn't really like that. So I'm a big fan of being able to put the crew slots in the order that you want instead of, well, being forced to basically unlock another one if you have too much autism like I do. Visual selector for secondary weaponry with mouse control and quick access to wanted weapons. I'm not entirely sure what this entails. Now, if I go here, when we go to secondary weapons, I'm sorry. I have no idea. Like, I want to say that I understand it, but I don't. I'm sorry. If you are aware, someone will probably also tell you in the comments, but I have no idea what they're on about. I'm terribly sorry. And as you can probably hear, yeah, English is not my first language whatsoever. Now we have the addition of a timer of the aircraft, heads-up display that counts down the time until the fire ammunition hits the target. And this is great. Some planes, some helicopters have it where you shoot the SAM, or if you shoot the, not the SAM, the AGM, for example, it will give you a timer until impact. And that's great because then you actually know when to expect it. And if it doesn't hit, you know it missed. You don't have to keep looking at it. You know when the impact is. You don't have to worry about it. And you can start looking at it when it's about to impact. So this is nice quality of life. We already have it on the helicopters. But you know, a lot of you guys only play planes and tanks and don't have helicopters because the grind is absolutely terrible. Well, nowadays it's a bit better because you can actually unlock them with ground vehicles. But you know, not everyone has unlocked a lot of helicopters, me included. Then we have public squad mechanics for searching a squad based on interest on other players in the game. Now, again, I want to... we'll have to see how they add this. If it's going to be like algorithm based, I'm not looking forward to it too much. But you know, I don't want to knock it before I've used it. And then for the summer of 2024, which is basically like 5 to 6 months from now, and I'm expecting half of these to be delayed. But we have the first one here is mechanics for exit zones. I'm not entirely sure what they mean with this. Probably something like being able to leave without having to land, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to see how that pans out. And then we have the detailed damage models for helicopters, which is fantastic. Because right now you can have your entire tail shot off and the helicopter just kind of flies around for 15 seconds like nothing ever happened to it. Which is a shame because I think that like helicopters with the tail rotor being inoperable and they like start spinning out and they slam into a building or like a skyscraper or perhaps even the ground. It just looks cinematic. There's something nostalgic about it from like the old movies where the helicopter starts spinning out. And I'm definitely missing that. Not that I play that much ground RB, but you know, looking at it, I like cinematic stuff, even if it's only for like a trailer or something. They have the ability to control projectile fuses in the battle, which is great. You can now turn it on and off. So if you don't want the proxy to actually proxy, well, it won't. How the setting fuses for ranges and like the proximity range and stuff like that, I'm not sure if they also start tinkering with that. Would be nice because with some planes they have quite a bit of armor. Thinking about planes like an IL-2 for example. Now this is an example that doesn't really make that much sense. But if the shell explodes too far away, it ends up doing absolutely no damage. So being able to kind of tighten up the proxy range would be great, especially if a plane is flying directly at you and you are losing or using like a small caliber shell, which doesn't have the most amount of power. So being able to get the shell a little bit closer to the enemy plane would be nice in terms of like doing more damage per shot. Reworked APHE shell, and what they want to do is basically instead of the shell penetrating and then exploding all the way through the cabin, it will only explode the fragmentation throughout the intended path of the shell. So it will be a bit of an APHE nerf. How this will really affect anything, time will only tell. But instead of penetrating the turret and killing the entire tank, it will probably only kill the turret after the change. But it depends on what you guys are going to vote. And I'm not going to vote because I don't play tanks enough
to even have an opinion on it. And if I do play tanks, I mostly play anything that has APDS FS. So I barely use APHE. Construction of replenishment zones and trenches. I think this is a bit of a gimmick. I'm not too sure what I think of it. I mean, if everyone wants it, I'm not gonna knock it, but I'm not really. I don't know. I'm not a big supporter of it. Interface, we have a few short ones. We have new radicals, which is great, and a massive one that I'm a big fan of. Notification of when reported player was banned. Now, it doesn't specify the username, which is a little bit of a shame. But seeing that your reports are actually doing something is a great way to motivate people to keep spamming cheaters with reports. And we have to do that because they're everywhere, especially in Tank LB. The ability to recycle inventory items is also fantastic because like some of you, and I'm taking screenshots in the background, so kind of just ignore that for now. But when you look at your inventory, the amount of like wages and orders that I have is absolutely obscene. Well, yeah, the blind hunt wages are for a different reason, but that's not what this is about. Being able to kind of like recycle them into either Silver Lions or just into another order, or even if you're just able to like take 5 and then gamble them into another one, or just convert them, that would be better actually than gambling. It would be great. And then we have some social features again. I kind of mentioned them at the start here with the golden one at the first one. I misremembered after reading. You're now gonna be able to like kind of create your own profile that people are gonna see, kind of like a splash card, and they are also gonna see that when you kill people. So as I said, we're probably gonna see some absolutely obscene decals, but overall, thinking about like Battlefield 4 when you kill someone, where people like make their own stuff and things like that, I think it's overall looking pretty healthy. Now I am wondering what they are gonna fuck up in the meantime, and I don't want to be pessimistic. I don't want to be like Gaijin bad, but you know, we need to be realistic because some changes in the past have been questionable at best. I'll go through everything here. I basically explained everything. What they did is basically just summarized what's down here. So if you want to read it, be my guest. I'll also put it in the description if you want to actually click it and read it on your own leisurely time. But that's about it. I'm looking forward to it, especially the dynamic battle ratings, as well as the separate chaff and flares, and just the overall quality of life stuff where you can like put the crew slots and stuff like that. Overall, looking pretty healthy. I am cautiously excited, as we might call it that. And that's everything. I'll refresh it once so you can see the comments as well, because I haven't actually read them yet. Not gonna lie, good to see. Very happy to see the progress. Overall like it. Still no words about the new kill count. Yeah, that's a good one actually. They haven't. I haven't seen anything about it yet. They were talking about like being kill steals and like doing the most amount of damage. Like being count dead after the timer ticks out if you're like completely dead and haven't hit the ground yet. Kind of. We'll see. Fuel slider, no rewalk for the ground grind. I mean, yeah, but for now, and I don't want to be the Gaijin shield because I'm cautious just like you guys are, but we need to be happy with some change and the fact that they are actually actively trying to change things. I agree. RRB is, yeah, not, I sound like a plane again, I can already hear the comment. I agree, but meh, there's plenty of good changes in here. They kind of did this just now, but they made it more grindy and less grindy at the same time. So instead of doing it all in one day, you now only have to do one per day, like the tank, the plane, or the ship. But it also kind of turns it into like battle passes where you just always have something going on. And you can't really take breaks anymore. Right now you can like cram everything into like a 2-week period, grind your vehicles and be done, and then come back with the next event. Whereas with the way they are going right now, it's basically going to turn into, you have to play 24/7 every week of the year, and otherwise you're going to miss out on stuff. I'm not sure how they are going to do it with like being able to buy the stars and the event itself. That'd be great, but I heard that you wouldn't be able to buy the stars anymore with GE, or was it only for like to make the coupon tradable? Why is there only one economy change? The Goober The Google. Incredible Sona. Very much professional. I'm just gonna scroll through this because my voice is dead. I need to eat and this is already way too late. Leave your feedback down below. I'm kind of interested in what you guys are thinking. And yeah, you'll see me all tomorrow with the, I think it's a J32B video. We get 8 kills, we try to outsmart guys in, and it doesn't end up going exactly as planned. But you'll see tomorrow. Have a good one. Leave it in the comments. You'll see me in the next one.